Yes, folks, it's Thursday. It's 4 p.m. Central Time. Got it right this week, Ray. We're celebrating our 101st episode today, so we're starting year 3. I'm Fred McMurray. I'm with my co-host, Ray Pillar. And Ray, how are we doing today?
I am doing great. The weather is fantastic. It's 22 degrees, sunny, as opposed to last week when it was, I think, 10 and snowy. So much of the snow is melted out here and in the western part of the suburbs of Chicago. And, it's been a great day so far.
So at that temp, why aren't you down at the beach like I am?
Well, I thought about polar jumping, but
You want to make it to that next birthday, don't you? Uh-huh.
yeah,
Why don't you introduce our guest?
yeah. Well, yeah, I'd be happy to. Happy to. Our guest today is Paul Berman. He's the CEO of Birthday Pak. And just the name, it sounds fantastic. Sounds like a fun thing to do and a fun franchise to own. How you doing, Paul?
Really well.
Good, good. Where are you at, first of all, and how's the weather?
Right outside Philadelphia. It's actually really nice, and I noticed the some blooms on trees yesterday, and
Ooh.
I think in a couple of weeks we'll be seeing what we call spring. Almost no snow this year, and I ran across a friend at the gym the other day. He's a landscaper and depends on some plowing income, so he was not very happy. But so far unscathed, and of course, like many cities up in the Northeast, sometimes March can come and be pretty crazy. But it's been nice.
Yep.
You haven't had snow all winter yet?
No, not much. Our son lives in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and I think they've gotten 200 and maybe 90 inches or something. We're out there a week and a half ago, and they got almost 3 feet in 3 days, and it's the real deal.
Fantastic. Well, I'm ready for spring. I'm wearing this hat today, and it's the Kane County Cougars. It's a fantastic local baseball team, as Fred probably knows, heard of them, and it's going to be here. But I'm going to be visiting maybe some summer camps. I'm going to Arizona next month, and we'll see what's going on out there as far as baseball is concerned. But of course, I probably have. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a spam call. Cancel that. So, Paul, you got to tell us about this franchise. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so Birthday Pak is really fun. It's one of the things that really grabbed me. It's unique. It's low cost. There's no royalties, and it's a very simple business model. It's not for everybody. You got to get out and sell. Actually, a gentleman just left from New York for Discovery Day, and he's the right stuff. I think we're right for him, and he's right for us. And if it wasn't, we'd be honest about it. We really have some, good solid core values, and one of them's open and honest. And today in the world, getting employees and maybe 10-year real estate leases with personal guarantees, and there's tons of businesses we all go to, that require that. This is a simple model where you don't require real estate and employees and inventory and equipment. And we do all the production work, and our franchisees have to sell and collect. We recommend credit card payment, so it's automated, and then we do everything else. So we try to make it simple. And one state examiner said that this is the most franchisee user-friendly franchise agreement I've ever read. And I said, well, thank you. We did that intentionally to make sure this is very straightforward and simple. And still hard work, but that's what we do. So we really, what we do, Ray, is make women happy and businesses money. So we cater only to affluent females. We tested guys, the 3 of us, and the guys did not respond. The ladies love their Birthday Pak. So this is for the ladies only. And so we keep them happy, and the business owners that participate, your place where you go celebrate a life event, a birthday, or a nice special night out. My wife and our anniversary is coming up. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And the core supposition of what we do is that life events are triggers for higher spending. So if you go out to Arizona for spring training, it's a big deal. You're going out, you're going to spend more money, you're going to eat. It's more than your typical weekend or time. So I've been in the direct marketing business for almost 3 decades, and I've never seen anything like Birthday Pak from a performance and an accountability standpoint, which is really what put its hooks in me.
Mm-hmm. Is this your own brainchild, or?
No, there were several people. Most are investors and owners in the company. Some really, really bright direct marketers. And the real story about this is the internet was just starting to percolate through. And, I call it chasing that digital rainbow. It can be expensive and elusive. A lot of business owners, one I saw today, talks about the difficulty of connecting the spend with the cash register, the point of sale system. So they knew that somehow the internet and print was going to merge. And I've got a lot of experience in that area, and there's not a lot of success stories of the convergence of print and digital media. So Birthday Pak goes out, and if women get it, it's all personalized. So my wife's birthday is March. She'll be getting hers next week in our mailbox. Happy birthday, Mary. So everything in there, the birthday cards and everything is all personalized. About 20% of the women give us their email address and their day and month of birth. So all communications permanently are to Mary, not occupant, resident, or just, dear recipient. And so we send wishes out for New Year's and Valentine's and Mother's Day and Father's Day, et cetera. So there's a whole print and digital component of this, and it's all bundled. So again, simple to the business owner as well. So Ray and Fred, if you owned a Ruth's Chris or an upscale restaurant or a day spa or a Hand and Stone or Elements Massage or Massage Envy or whatever, and you're participating in our program, you give us one fee and everything is taken care of. And it's really simple for you, the business owners. You got a business to run, and we take care of the marketing and send the ladies in.
So every year I get a screwdriver from Menards. Is that something like that?
No, you're not going to get a screwdriver from us. If you'd like, you give me your day of birth. I'll be glad to send you something every year. But you obviously sound like chock full on a screwdriver, so I'll find something else fun. It's interesting. The data is that women make or influence over 80% of the decisions in the household, and we cater to affluent females. It's typically 100,000 household income plus, and so we really picked the right segment. We can apply our technology to babies and brides and new movers and pets and all different types of things, our underlying technology with the print and digital components. But we picked the right audience. And the 60,000 women on Facebook, they love their birthday packs. And, not to tug at the heartstrings, but the reality is you think about where you live in Chicago, and you think about it, 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 homes around you. They're not all good stories. There's a lot going on inside those walls. Some are really having a great day. Some are not having a great day. And we get some pretty gut-wrenching stories from the ladies about what Birthday Pak means to them. And it just, really drives us to want to deliver more. There's 7.7 million women in the top 70 U.S. markets, excluding U.S. and Hawaii and Alaska, 7.7 million is we're kind of finished. And that segment in the major cities. And today we're mailing a bit over 1 million. So 1 out of 7.7 women get a birthday pack. And until all 7.7 million are there, plus the smaller towns in America, our job's not done yet.
So as a client, what would it cost me to hire you to send out, hypothetically, anniversaries to my clients?
Yep. So I'll touch on anniversary a touch. So for Birthday Pak, each of the zones is 1,000 affluent women. They're hyper local. I haven't had research on this, but I will bet money and suppose somewhere in this year, I think we're going to see more that I think we're hunkering down more. I think we're more hyper local. Certainly Amazon.com, an amazing brand. I love online shopping. It's incredible. The pens I get, often Staples don't have them. I really like this medium Pentel pen. It just works great, And a lot of times at the Staples, they don't have it. So I ordered it at Amazon. If I order it right now at 5:10 Eastern, it'll be at my home tomorrow. The next day, free shipping at a good price. Yeah. So it's so convenient. And now with all the food delivery, which has been really disruptive to the restaurant industry, I would suppose we're staying closer to home. And I've looked at some studies about how far we go to a gym or a grocery store. And unless you live in a rural area, there's plenty of things close. So our zones were 1,000 affluent women in a close area. So for a restaurant, they're going to pay somewhere between $350 or $400. Sometimes our franchisees will charge the day spas a little bit less. They don't get near the results of the restaurant because you don't get a massage as often as maybe we eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a few $100s per month, a business has a complete turnkey print and digital program. And I can tell you, we see the results and we see a lot of online data. Most of our restaurants make money the first or second month, and they've covered the cost of their food cost and our advertising cost, and they have a profit to boot. And all the digital and everything else is, all free charge from there. And that's pretty rare. I could tell you, and again, in almost my 30 years of direct marketing, like John Wanamaker here from Philadelphia said, I know that half my advertising doesn't work. I just don't know which half. And being in the direct response business, I'm here, Ray, if you're my client, I'm here to make you money. And if I don't make you money, either you're going to terminate, our relationship, or I'm going to say this isn't working and we should part company. So I've been doing that for a long time, and it feels good.
In my case, it's more like a retention program.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the holy grail in the restaurant business, especially the upscale places. If I were in Chicago and we were going out for a great steak or a great dinner tonight, we're going to go to a nice place. And I can tell you, these nice restaurants, 4 times is the holy grail in the restaurant industry. If they can consistently see their customers coming in 4 times per year, that is a good day. So one of the things I continue to read about online in the Nation Restaurants News, where we've advertised and I read their newsletters every day, is retention is a big deal for restaurants, getting you to come in and come back because there's so many food options. Right. So that's where our reminder platform, where for Mother's Day and Father's Day, et cetera, throughout the year, we're keeping the logos of Ray's Steakhouse or Fred's, seafood place in front of them all year long. And we had lunch up the street today at a really great restaurant. I've been a customer for over 20 years. I know the owners, and I asked Pete to come by, and he visited with our prospective franchisee. And he said, we're seeing about 6 a day at every restaurant all throughout the month.
Wow.
And 2 years ago, year and a half ago, it was 3 or 4. So something's happening where it's increasing. And when I shared with him the approximate number of emails we're deploying with no discounts, I said, that's the only thing it could be, Pete. There's not changed the gift card at all. Yeah. So of course, our prospective franchisee, after we compensated him for that. And then by total dumb luck, our server, Ellen, as we paid and I gave her my credit card, she saw the birthday pack on my Amex. And, we shared our stories. And she said, I just got one a few minutes ago. And she showed the $10 gift card with the receipt. She says, we get them every day. That makes me happy.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Producing results to a restaurant. And they still had a lot of empty seats. So, an empty seat is one of the most expensive pieces of equipment for a restaurant. Yeah. So we can keep women happy and keep those seats filled, the massage tables filled. We're doing our job.
Fred?
I was just waiting to see if you're going to ask another question, my friend. I knew where.
Okay.
So where do you see what geographic areas do you see the biggest growth in?
We're really doing incredibly well in Florida, and I'm sure you hear it from franchisors, but, franchise development is really random. We do a lot of things organically and a lot of creative techniques to try to drive leads, but it's really, really random. And, tomorrow we may get 10 leads for Denver, which I'm out there quite a bit seeing our son, and I love the Colorado and driving around. It's beautiful. I don't play in the snow yet, but it's just a beautiful state. And, of course, we want to be everywhere, but selfishly, I'm out there often. I could give, franchisee a lot more time and support, go out and make sales calls, which I love doing. We may get 10 leads next week for Denver or nothing the rest of 2020. So, I wish it were more of a sniper rifle. We do work with the broker networks. They're our business partners. We're big fans of Zorakle and Rebecca's testing methodology. The individuals here today was one of the highest tests we've ever seen, and we share those results with them and go over it and explain how it came. So Florida is really strong for us, Minnesota, Indiana, and other little pockets, but we have a lot of markets to open up. But I can assure you and tell you that we will not award a franchise unless they're right. And I've heard a lot of people saying that. I've got a lot of experience in being a franchisee and franchisors for decades, and it's just not worth it taking their money and training them up and supporting them, giving all the love and attention if you know they're not right. So,
especially if they aren't in a fun place to visit.
yeah, it's it's fun growing this brand, and as we always tell people, and I told this individual today, we have two customers: the businesses that buy the advertising and the ladies. So if we keep them both happy, we have a good day going.
So how have you done in California? Because I know that there are many affluent women in California, at least along the coast. So have you been doing well in California, or is that one of those?
Not yet. You asked me a question. I'll always be honest. We had a franchisee that did agree to sign. We got registered. Once we were registered, we were able to disclose her. And afterwards, she says, I don't know why I did this. I don't like sales and cold calling. I love the brand. Birthday Pak's beautiful, and this is not for me, and take the franchise back. So that was, sad, but she was honest, and I appreciate, anybody taking accountability for those types of things. California is a massive opportunity. I'd have to look at the database and the counts, but with the major cities in California, there is a lot of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ray, you get the next question.
And also Chicago. Chicago is a huge market and a great dining town.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. I just celebrated some birthdays this past weekend with my girlfriend, and we went to a fantastic place called Trump Tower, and we really enjoyed it. The view was fantastic. We could see the lake, we could see the river, we could see all the buildings. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, the data is really crazy. And again, we hired a research firm and did a lot of research with the product redesign and such. And the National Restaurant Association reports that 54% of Americans eat out on their day of birth across males, females, and all demographics. The Birthday Pak community, the ladies reported that 86% of the time, every year or almost every year, they dine out on their day of birth. And what surprised us, and honestly, we would not have thought about asking this question, they said that an additional 4 to 6 times a year, they go out with friends and families on their day of birth. So they're influencing those decisions of where to go eat. And so that's our sweet spot. It's really serving the dining space, for sure.
Yeah. So what makes Birthday Pak so unique?
I'd say the personalization. Personalized direct mail tends to perform better. The birth event, that's the big deal. Somebody getting something for the birthday in a new market, Ray, they don't know it's coming. They didn't ask for it. This is not an open enrollment program. We rent list data and have some little secret sauce about how we harvest that data. It's highly accurate, really reliable. And so I'd say the personalization. I would say that it's birthdays. Some women talk about celebrating their birth month. And then I'd say that there's 4, 6, 8, and possibly soon 10 gift cards in there that are hyper local, and they see the local restaurant. So if it was your place, Ray, and you had a steakhouse and they see Ray's Steakhouse, well, you may have been in Chicago for 20 years. They've driven by, presumably they've probably eaten at your place. So they build this trust with, hey, it's personalized to me. I know Ray's, I know this day spa over here, Sally's, or whatever it might be, or this really upscale, retail situation, and different restaurants, or maybe a new BYOB or something else they want to try, and their names are on each of the gift cards. So I think that's the unique nature. I've been doing direct mail, and I think one of the great direct mail programs, period, is Bed Bath & Beyond. I mean, they've done an amazing job with their commitment to the consistency of the direct mail. I don't talk to many women, including my wife, that don't have a drawer full of Bed Bath & Beyond. A lady recently was saying, well, I've got the app, but I also have the drawer full of the 20% off. Yeah. I would say from a business standpoint, they probably mark up everything 20% and give you 20% off, and everybody's happy. And there we go.
Yep.
From a direct mail standpoint, direct mail is not dead. It's actually improving. And I think that, this chasing the digital rainbow and all of us getting a little headache from too much, texting, email, whatever, direct mail done right is completely relevant for any business that's using it.
Sure.
Yep.
Do a little.
And the millennials are starting to respond more to direct mail. Some of the data is showing much increased usage because they can control it. Can't control how many emails and texts each of us are going to get when we get off this podcast.
Yep, that's true.
It's also a lot easier to control spam mail too.
Yeah.
The spam mail you get, it's like, okay, I throw that in. The spam email I get, man, it gets heavier and heavier to go through.
And the robocalls. These robocalls are a lot of fun, right?
That's the only thing that's not being controlled, it seems. I got 2 just while we were on the show. You know? But it's interesting. I can definitely see how this could be a great asset to a restaurant. I was mentioning a restaurant to a friend of mine who's a lifelong resident of this area, and she says, "I've never heard of it." I says, "You got to be kidding! It is one of the finest restaurants in the area. How could you not have heard of it?" And she was all excited because I happened to mention it. So something like that, I can definitely see. It's gonna be presented to a wide range of people that normally would not see it.
Yeah, again, back to the stories, and just one comes to mind is, and again, just the reality of what we hear. It was a lady reached out. We sensed she was in her 40s, based on the age of her children, and she said, "I want to thank you so much, Birthday Pak. This hit us at a very difficult time. Chemotherapy for breast cancer. I'm not currently able to work, and we got the Birthday Pak. I just was really surprised. It was special, and it gave us really this. Every penny counts, and that made a difference. That family and the connection with whatever restaurant they went to, whichever market.
Remind people that they can dial in at 323-580-5755. That's 323-580-5755. Or you can chat at pillarsoffranchising.com. And now a word from a sponsor.
Hey, franchise owners. How's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new movements to your local area? At Westvyne, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, and ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who needed an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvyne.com. That's 805-265-5440 or Westvyne with a Y.com.
Thanks, Michelle. And we're back with Paula Berman, CEO of Birthday Pak. So you don't ever deliver anything that's like in a fanny pack, right?
Not that I know of. Maybe I'll send it to Ray for his birthday with a screwdriver next year.
I would think, I know you're a hiking fan. I would think you could sell it, send a birthday pack and a fanny pack to a man that's got camping supplies in it.
I'll put it on my business idea list. I'll work on it this weekend in my spare time.
Hey, it's all good. So taking a bit of a segue away from what we've been talking about, you are a hiker, backpacker. What got you into that?
Yes. So good question. So in 2004, I made one of the best decisions of my life. I joined the Entrepreneurs Organization, got into a forum group and applied for a mentor, and was assigned to an incredible individual. His name is John. And we're still very, very close friends. It's a 16-year relationship I treasure, and I think he would say the same. And we sat for breakfast the first time, and he said, "Paul, I want to understand all the big relationships, the most critical relationships in your life." And I said, "Well, John," I said, "this is going to be a quick, boring story. I really don't have many friends. I don't play golf anymore. All I do is work, building businesses, and I got a wife, love at first sight, my 2 sons, and it's pretty much work. And, sports and things like that. My sister and I are close. I have a business partner, pretty close, but that's about it." And he said, "Paul, you're missing a big one." I said, "No, John, I told you it's a pretty quick story. My parents are gone, and that's pretty much it." And he leaned forward and he said, "Paul, you're missing a big one." And I looked at him. I said, "Oh, me." And he smirked and he crossed his arm and he leaned back and he said, "We've got some work to do." Well, I could tell you the restaurant we ate at was right outside of Philadelphia, the Country Deli, a wonderful little spot. I could show you the table we sat at. I don't know if they've moved the chairs since then, but I could show you the chairs we sat at. And often we get there, I try to get there first, and I sit at that table if it's available in the same spot against the wall. And I didn't realize at that time, Fred, that my world was shifting. The planet, the universe I knew changed. I was obese. I was 300 pounds. I was a heart attack waiting to happen. And fitness was the last thing on my mind. And I can't tell you when it came to me in the fall of '04. I really can't tell you how it came to me because I'd done some backpacking on the Appalachian Trail before. But I made the decision to section hike the entire Appalachian Trail from northern Georgia at Springer Mountain to Mount Katahdin in Maine. It's 2,189 miles currently. So you don't want to go out there obese, I can tell you for sure. And it's no trail. It is really, really, really tough. And behind Ray is the Smoky Mountains, and it's really beautiful. So the good news is I got started on it, and I spend pretty much 2 weeks in the spring, usually March, which is a 5-week cycle, and September, another 5-week, month. So I could take, 2 weeks off and not miss a lot of business stuff. And except for what I'll share with you next, didn't have many bumps in the roads or problems. I'm a big Process and Michael Gerber and E-Myth fan. And so the business was, processed and systematized and people doing their job. So I was able to literally go, and many times without a cell signal very much. And the business ran. I got my time in the woods, and it was really my time to connect with Mother Nature and enjoy. And, I'm pretty much business 24/7. I love the business of business, but I really set loose and really enjoyed the outdoors. And when I think about business, I would quit about it, quit thinking about it, or put some music on or something. And have really enjoyed it. So the good news is I've completed 2,000 miles of the Appalachian Trail. The bad news is I've got Northeast New Hampshire and Southern Maine left, and it's some of the most difficult backpacking, certainly in the United States. And I've got a really bad back situation that I'm trying to fix. But we'll see if I get to go back. It's another story, maybe this summer, but spine's pretty bad. After 2 back surgery is still an issue.
Ooh.
1,000 miles? You said
I've done 2,000 miles. Yeah, most of the hikes were, 100, 125 miles per month.
Sorry, 2,000 miles.
Yeah,
that gets an applause. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah, I really miss it. I will tell you. I think about it every day. I've got the map in my home office, and it saddens me that I can't be out there because it was really my true passion. It still is, but it's just not physically possible. The pain level and the risk factors would be are significant. But I'm working on it. I'm closing in on it.
Yeah.
I was saying on my wall by Babe Ruth, and I didn't know he had like these kind of sayings, but it says you can't beat somebody who doesn't give up. And till the day I pass, I won't give up on this one. So I'm gonna stay on it.
That's I understand dealing with health issues, and it's far better to avoid heart attacks and
it is, and I truly congratulate you on your turnaround on your lifestyle, and because I think that you were probably heading towards a bad ending. And another thing too is creating friends around you. It's a known fact that people who have a lot of friends around them actually live longer. And
really,
yeah, it's a fact. So I changed my life a little bit not too long ago, and my wife at the time, my wife passed away a couple years ago, but we decided to travel, and that's why the RV. And we gained so many friends that have it is a fantastic lifestyle, and it's not like yours, but I truly enjoy it now. I have a girlfriend, and we've continued with that lifestyle, and she has gained a lot of friends as well, and it's great. It's great. I'm at the time of life where I'm pulling back a little bit from the business, but I also enjoy business. I enjoy my business and working in it. But I'm at an area where I can easily, take off for, a month if I want to.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, I find business is just fascinating, and really you boil it down. Every business isn't the same. You got people, processes, products, pricing, et cetera. So it's just the underpinnings of any business I just find quite interesting. And
mhm.
when it's, walk in the back of a pizzeria, dry cleaner, or very complex businesses, or everything in between, they all have, the different moving pieces. And of course, it's all about the people, but then the
That's right.
processes and
Mhm.
things like that. So it's, maybe as we get older and wiser, it becomes more clear of the
It, uh,
similarities of all
that has a
businesses.
lot to do with it.
Yep.
Older and wiser.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
would hope we get smarter and wiser as we age.
Yeah. I find that I have about 45 employees, and I consider them all family. I really do. We have quite a team in the office, and I enjoy just going in and meeting with them on occasion. So I want to shift a little back to your business, if it's unless Fred, you
On
got a
occasion,
question.
he goes into the office there. Did you catch that? On occasion.
I probably, people
On
do,
occasion,
they
he
ask
goes,
me, why don't you just, completely, bore yourself with the business? And I says, why would I want to do that? I enjoy it. And when you get to your certain age, you want to do what you enjoy. And I really, truly enjoy the business, So getting back to your business, I'm under the impression that basically you don't need a brick and mortar. Is that right?
Correct.
And it's probably all you really need is a phone, and you probably don't even need any employees to begin with.
Correct. Yeah, we tell people they need an iPad to present, and
Mhm.
of course, smartphone. We always have those smartphones.
Right.
We pay for and print the business cards, and it's go out and sell. And there are some things changing in our business which could mean, if they want to bring in a part or full-time salesperson and increase their footprint and their opportunity, but it's not required. And this is a really nice owner-operator model. And it's interesting is, kind of what we're touching on. A lot of people we speak with, certainly in their 50s or maybe a little older, they're done with corporate America. They maybe don't want to do that anymore. They've saved money, or sadly, certainly you're both aware, I'm sure, as in America, there's a lot of people. I met with a lady for lunch last Friday. She's 60 and she's got a good job, good wage, and she feels she's somewhat unemployable.
Mhm.
And, the old HMOs where insurance rates were the same have changed.
Yeah,
And for whatever reasons, companies don't want to hire people of our age group. And I think it's
that's
a
right.
massive error.
Mhm.
The wisdom, the knowledge, they don't have to worry about us getting up out of bed and working hard. But
Mhm.
for whatever reason, it's shifted. And not a political person, probably don't want to go there, but I would say, the powers that be in Washington, maybe at some point in time might look at that and say, is there something for incentives to hiring people that are 50 or 55 plus or whatever? So, certainly have a lot of wisdom and legs left. But from what I hear from all my friends in franchising, a lot of the people coming into franchising are of that age, and they're looking at,
Yeah.
having control of their own destiny, maybe bring their kids in or whatever it might be, or
Mhm.
family situation. But franchising is just the epitome of entrepreneurship
It
in
is.
America. I read the book Grinding It Out by Ray Kroc, and not a lot of gold nuggets. I kind of wish, honestly, it would have been, hey, here's Ray Kroc's top 5 or top 10. There were a couple spattered in there, but boy, one thing you get is this guy toughed it out. He did grind it out, and he went through so many different things in industries. And like every entrepreneur, worried about making payroll, all kinds of challenges and trouble and everything. And you see what they built. I did not know that he bought this San Diego Padres. I did not know he
Oh,
bought an ice hockey team and then sold it back to
wow.
the NHL. But clearly, an incredible organization that started with the McDonald brothers, and that whole story, and the movie Founder is
Mhm.
really cool. My favorite scene on that one is the tennis court where they re-engineer. I just thought that was classic.
Mhm. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah. A good role model. Yeah, definitely. So, Fred, what do you got?
All right. So one of the normal questions we like to ask our franchisor guests is, how much does it cost for somebody to get started?
So we're going to probably raise our franchise fee. We are a little bit on the spring. We redo our FDD. Somebody can purchase 5 zones for $24,000. We invest a lot in training and support. We've just upped our game there. We're not going to put it in the FDD because it's a trial program, but we've committed to even more than we've ever done. So it's $24,000. We also grant the territory, so they own that territory, and they're off and running. And we have an incentive program where we give the first month free and incentives for 2 years for opening zones, which is how we make our money, marking up the print. There's no royalties. And so it's a very low cost entry point. 10 zones is $39,000. So to scope that out, Portland, Oregon, I believe, is 10 zones. And Boise, Idaho probably is 4 or 5 zones to scope out geographically in somebody's mind what it would be.
How many zones would Chicago be?
Chicago is actually about 45 or 50. Chicago is a big, giant market. There's a market if somebody had a big checkbook and wanted to, hire a group of salespeople, they could take down the whole market. We have one individual out there with a handful of zones. But Chicago is about 45 or 50. LA, I'd have to look, I suppose, is a bit higher.
Ray, you could base it in the Beast, and the Beast could be the mobile sales area.
The happy birthday bus. We've been wanting to have a happy birthday bus.
Half the bus could be happy birthday. The other half could be pillars of franchising.
We'll pay to wrap the other half of the bus. Let's do it.
I'm trying to figure out how I can write off the bus, but it's
He just said he'd wrap half the bus. So hey, it's tax deductible now.
Yeah.
I told you we're going out. All right. So you said the cure for the greatest mankind's greatest cure known for insomnia, the FDD. What are the top 3 items I know everyone, the lawyers always tell us you got to read the whole thing. And yet some of my franchisee clients I know never bothered to read the whole thing, never read the thing. And I will take their names to the death. What are the top 3 items you think somebody should read to see if it's in their ballpark?
I would say that if I weren't in franchising, so I'm not biased, and somebody said, Paul, I'm thinking about buying a franchise, what should I read? I'd say, read the whole thing, but forget the legalese because it's all state mandated and federal stuff. You're not going to understand it. It's probably never going to come into play. So that's lawyer work. I'll answer this question a little differently. I would say the validation calls trump what's in the FDD. I would do exhaustive work of really, and if it was, if there were people close to me, I'd go see all of them. I would ask a lot of questions, and after each call, I'd be getting deeper in the questions, and I'd ask the tough questions. And depending on the number, if there were 100, I don't know if I'd call 100, but I'd probably call 50, and you're not going to talk to them all. So I'd say that. The item 19, frankly, I was surprised that there's some areas of flexibility. In massaging of the item 19, it's just not, the audited financials, which I support all these things. Item 19s, I've seen a lot of them could be in ranges. So again, I think the validation calls can dial those down. Certainly the item 7 and the cost to get into the business, and you got to meet the compliance, but, ours is so simple. But if it's brick and mortar and those things, I'd really want to tear that apart. One of the things I talk about is that spreadsheets lie. So no matter what you put on that spreadsheet and those projections you do for yourself, because obviously the ZOR can't do it. It's an earnings claim until after they sign. Whatever it is, it's not going to happen. And the next day it's going to be wrong. So I would say, something I've learned a long time ago is the sensitivity test. The expenses should be tight. If there's rent or employees or payroll taxes or trucks or whatever the cost might be, I'd put the revenue in and be conservative, and then I'd cut the revenue in half and see if the business can survive. Is what I've learned is a sensitivity test. So I would say, I'm not a big fan of business plans. I'm very type A and maybe the normal ADHD and the normal things that come along with entrepreneurs. But to me, the financial plan is the business plan. Because if it says you're going to, get truck number 2 in month 6, well, you should have your getting the truck and the, painting it and whatever else, and all your marketing and advertising. So, that is really kind of your business plan. And I'd say that most times they're certainly way too optimistic and maybe delusional. So I would say, yeah, the FDD is great, but I would say the validation calls, and then I'm big on peer-to-peer learning, and we have a mentoring program at Birthday Pak. It's one of the things we've started putting in and we've been testing, and it's working. I'd want to find the best franchisees and just get their permission that we could have a phone call once a month whenever they want it, 11 at night, 4 in the morning, Sundays, Saturdays, whatever it is. I'm going to work in their schedule, and I'm going to try to learn from the best. And what they tell me to do, I'm going to do, because I'll try to redo the wheel a little bit down the road. So, I would say the validation calls, and then who's going to lead me and be my coaches for that first year or two, because it's tough. I'd also say that most people think they're going to make money a lot faster. And it's unfortunate. I think it's the biggest reason people go out of business.
No, oh yeah.
Hey,
unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
How many answers did you give him, Ray?
he's hit it. I think he's hit them all. But yeah, what Fred is talking about is two things that we talk about on the show a lot, and it's undercapitalization and what's the other one, Fred?
Well, to me, the validation calls, making sure that
exactly. That's we tell everybody to you call them validation calls or whatever, but personally, when I started my business, I not only did I call about 10 existing businesses, but I also called. They also listened. I don't know if this is required by all FTDs today, but businesses that are no longer in business.
Yep.
So I called them as well, because I was waiting to hear, oh yeah, those SOBs, they did this and they did that, and that's why I'm not in business. But I never heard that, and that's the reason I chose a particular franchise that I did. So I guess the question I'd like to ask you, Paul, is a lot of franchises say, well, you should have a certain amount of liquid capital available to you, and that's to make sure you're not undercapitalized, because like in 2008 there was this downturn and a lot of businesses just failed. So what is your recommendation to a person looking into any franchise and then looking into your franchise?
So the first I would say is their comfort level with sacrifice. Let's just say they came from quote corporate America, or great job, whatever it is, and big fan of corporate America. It's great, but it's most of the businesses, small to mid-sized businesses. Mm-hmm. So let's say they've come from something, whatever we define as a very comfortable living, and that ended for whatever reason, or they chose to make a right or left turn and get in their own business, become an entrepreneur. I would say, being frugal with their lifestyle and understanding it's going to be a mental, physical, and financial adjustment. And I'm certainly not trying to brag, but I'm honored that twice a year I get to speak at St. Joe's University in Philadelphia. It's an EBV, entrepreneurial boot camp for veterans. Mm-hmm. I think it started at Syracuse. An incredible entrepreneur in Denver, I believe, funded it. It's all honorably discharged veterans that want to be entrepreneurs. So mm-hmm. It's really helpful. We get their picture so I can spot them in the audience. Their rank, which isn't that much interest, their service, whether it's Special Forces, Navy SEALs, whether they're cooks or the Navy or whatever it is, but most specifically the business that they're either planning on going into or they're in. Mm-hmm. So it allows me to be very specific. The topic is marketing, but I talk as much about entrepreneurship. And there's a slide that I'm going to change in a few weeks. It's March 24th, but there's a slide and it's a picture of rice and beans with a slice of lime and a little piece of cilantro, right? And it says, "What is this?" Mm-hmm. Well, nobody gets it. And I say, that's called survival. That's called what you're going to be eating for the next 2 years, and you better like it. The bad news is you don't get the lime and the cilantro until year 3. And they don't get it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that's the point. So what I'm going to change it to is an MRE, a meal ready to eat. And they're definitely going to get that because they've eaten a lot of MREs, right? And I'll say, what is this? And they say, well, it's not an MRE. It's because survival in the next 2 years, and I'll put the lime or cilantro. I'll figure something out. But the message is, the money, but what are they willing to sacrifice? Those long hours, the sleepless nights, all those things that every entrepreneur I know have gone through and gone through waves of it. So there's a financial piece, but I think there's also there's a great book by Dr. Angela Duckworth called Grit. Wonderful book, and that sticking it out and those Babe Ruthisms and all these stories of just not giving up, period. And sacrifice and changing things. And so I like to ask people what they need, not what they want. Everybody always wants more, and it's great and it's fantastic. But I would say, what do you need? Where are you going to make sure that you're paying your bills? And I've done that for decades, hiring salespeople to make sure that they're waking up and they're not choking to death. And but then again, people overestimate of what they're going to do and how fast any business is going to ramp up. And 6 months later, they're having one of those tough moments of reality that they've, gotten into a business and it's not producing, and it's tough.
Yep.
Tough.
Yeah. When you're talking about the meals, the beans and the rice, and I was thinking of ramen noodles. That's probably the cheapest meal you can have.
That was mine.
Don't ask me how I know that.
And so ramen noodles are already cooked. And many times on the Appalachian trails and hikers I've seen, you just eat them the way they are. They're already fried and cooked. They're quite good.
That's right.
Not healthy, but
thing
very
is
good.
Wearing all the different hats. You gotta have them all. So be prepared to wear all the different hats.
It's awesome. I only brought one. You guys didn't set me up for multiple hats. I had a great one. I have a duck head that's very popular.
We'll have you back on the show. You can wear the hat.
The duck head's very popular.
I believe it. Wait for it.
Okay. All right. Is it time?
It's time for our next set of commercials. So we'll want to thank the network again. Tell people that 323-580-5755. And to the people I see hanging out on the Pillars of Franchising site, hit the chat button and ask your questions. And now a word from another sponsor.
Ever wonder how successful business people get educated about franchise business options? The Franchise Consulting Company is a group of over 100 franchise professionals with more than 2,000 years of franchise experience. We help our clients select and investigate franchise companies. And like a realtor, our services are free of charge to you. Our fees are paid by the seller. Reach out to us to learn more and get a free copy of the Franchise MBA, the #1 bestseller and highest reviewed book on Amazon in the franchise category. Our website is thefranchiseconsultingcompany.com, or feel free to call us on 800-321-6072.
And
Ever wonder?
Here we go again. I hope.
Whether you're in transition from a corporate job, looking to generate investment income, add to your existing business, or just too young to retire, come to the Great American Franchise Expo and explore your options. Meet face-to-face with dozens of franchise executives representing dozens of quality brands. A wide range of price points and ownership models are available. Attend our free seminars on accounting, real estate, and marketing. Franchise law experts will be there to answer your questions, and banks are on hand to discuss loans and financing. The first 100 attendees will receive free VR goggles. For free tickets, visit www.franexpousa.com.
And that's www.franexpousa.com. As viewers can see, the next Great American Franchise Expo is coming up this weekend, February 22nd, 23rd in Houston Stafford Center. And then after that, the Tampa Convention Center, March 14th and 15th. I always like Tampa, folks. Here's my copy of the Franchise MBA. If you fill out the form on the Pillars of Franchising, it's there's a button there, front page. We got a new button there. You not only get a free copy of this, but you also get free VR gear. Nick made that upgrade to the promotion last time he was on. So now, Ray, you can take it back.
Okay. Now, I think one of the other mistakes that a franchise owner makes is not preparing for the end. So you've got to begin with the end in mind. So you've got to start hiring the right people, and someone that you can start grooming as a manager, as an example. And I don't know if Paul, if you know where I got that begin with the end in mind from, but it's Stephen Covey's book, Seven Habits of Highly Successful People, which is
Got that one. Good.
yeah, it's a fantastic book, and I suggest it to everyone, including my staff, because the ideas that are in there are absolutely fantastic. But I think a lot of people who start a franchise, because like you mentioned, people who are in their mid 50s and 60s possibly find themselves unhirable, and if they don't begin with the end in mind and start thinking about, okay, I'm going to take significant amount of my savings and invest it in this, and I'm hoping that it's going to carry me through, they find that if they don't begin with the end in mind, that they're still working in it. I talked to a franchise owner who had his franchise for 25 years, and talked to him for a few minutes and realized that he's still working his butt off in the franchise and not laying back and taking some time off and let other people run it for him.
Yep.
So it's important. It's important.
Yeah, I came from the financial planning background in the past, and I think most people, to go back, it's like the old saying, the old person says, if I knew I was going to be so old, grow to be so old, I'd have taken better care of myself. I think people certainly, and the lady I ran into, recently, the story, she says, I just didn't save. I just really didn't save enough, and I didn't spend like crazy. I just didn't have that discipline of spending and saving. And the miracle of compound interest, all of a sudden you find yourself at a later age and maybe some health issues or bumps along the road. And, the good news is we're living longer. The bad news is it's going to create some significant global and financial planning issues as people start living to 90 and 100 and 100 plus,
That's
which
right.
is definitely coming in my view.
And then, of course, the next thing, you're going to do the rabbit hole right now.
I'm ready.
The only thing I just wanted to mention quickly before Fred jumps in there is that I also have my family involved in my business. So I've not only helped all of my employees, but now I'm helping my family, and they're going to carry on with the business. Go ahead, Fred.
Time to go down the rabbit hole. And folks, you can fill out the form to submit your personalized or your personal request for a rabbit hole question, and we'll see about putting that on the air. And Ray missed the screen crawl, but it was really cool. So watch the video sometime. So, Paul, how do you believe that Birthday Pak will ultimately thwart the upcoming zombie apocalypse, which has been started by the coronavirus?
I'll tell you what I've heard, and I've not met one, but I'm relatively certain that zombies celebrate their birthdays huge. I mean, big. So we're working on a zombie pack. We're not sure how to design it. We're not sure if the United States Postal Service is going to deliver to them. We've got to address issues. Fluency, I think we may have to throw that out the window, but I understand they celebrate birthdays like huge, really big, and they're really happy, and they're like really unzombie-like for that 24-hour period. That's what I've heard.
Wow.
But if they eat people, what restaurant are you sending them to? That's my concern there.
Ray's Steakhouse in Chicago, and only Ray's.
Yeah, right.
Bring all their friends.
We have
show up at Friday night at 7, Saturday at 6:30.
This, folks, is why we like the down the rabbit hole question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ray.
All right.
You
so
got
we're ready
one
for
more.
the last question.
No, wait.
No?
You're second to the last question.
Second to the last question.
Second to the.
Oh.
Or I can go with my next question, and then you can ask your last question.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So, the reason the reason I work, do this show and everything else is because I have a couple of grandkids, and they are both very, very special to me. Max is less than a year old. So what I'm going to ask you is, what advice would you give to my grandson on how to be successful in life?
I'll take two sides on that. I'd say the first one comes as coding. I mean, some of the research and data of massive demise of jobs in America as we know them today in the next X periods of years, maybe 10, 15, 20, but a lot of the jobs today are not going to be there. So I'd say the little Max, we're also going to, my son Samuel, we're thinking of Max or Maxwell or Maximilian. So I was favorable to Maxwell, but he's a Samuel. But I'd say coding, and going down that path, whatever it might be, could be important with a lot of careers. I'd say on life, I'd go back to what you said, Ray. We're talking about is, build great friends and relationships and stay in touch. It takes effort to stay in touch.
It does.
And,
That's why I stay in touch with Fred.
Yep.
He's all the way on the other side of the continent.
And the other thing I did an exercise I was talking about yesterday, actually, to go do a redo. Mary and I did a great job. We have two great sons, Jake and Sam. They're different. They're awesome. I would say, forgetting religion or not, to step aside for that for a moment, I'd say establish a set of core values and stick with them.
Yeah.
They're the stake in the ground, and don't deviate from your core values and your principles. And the book Grit, and there's many others, of course. I would say, forgetting the coding, whatever, is have a set of core values, be they religiously driven or not, and stick with them and don't deviate, and make your decisions based on that center post.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the little things that we do in my business is we have our weekly meetings with everyone. And I've been criticized for this, and I don't know, but I think it's helped my business a lot, because we celebrate those core values with a simple prayer at the beginning of every meeting. And it's nothing elaborate, and it's nothing that we demand of anybody. I mean, they can read a book, or they can pray with us. So, and it only takes a minute.
Yep. I think certainly the moral code in America and things have shifted way off center. And, I think if people stuck to their code in the road, it'd be a better world.
Yep, absolutely. Sure. So the big question of the day is, we've gotten everybody peaked and sitting at the edge of their seats and wondering, how can I get a hold of Paul? Because I'm really interested in this franchise. And how do they do that, Paul?
I'd say they can go to YouTube, and there's plenty of stuff and content for Birthday Pak, or email me directly, P. Berman, Berman at birthdaypak.com. But we're readily available out there, and there's plenty of information and videos and stories and testimonials, as every franchisor should have. And people are passionate about selling and working hard to build something great. This could be a good fit. And we're honest from the first conversation, where we tell people you're not going to email and text your way to success. This is face-to-face, belly-to-belly relationship selling. Sure. And like anything, hard work, but done right, any business should be really, really fruitful for somebody. It's just the right fit.
Absolutely.
And I think any Zor, being straight with the people. If it's not right, tell them it's not right, and inform the broker if you're working on the broker networks. And if it is right, move them through the process and see if it's the right fit for both parties, way before any checks are written or documents are signed.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely right. So you've been a fantastic guest. We really appreciate you being on the show. And I've truly enjoyed it, but and I get a little excited and carried away, because I love doing this show. But because I love people, and I love talking about business.
It's all about people.
That's right.
For sure.
This is Ray Pillar McMurray, thanking our guest Paul Berman of Birthday Pak, and we'll be back next week with